Jeff, just broadly, what do you make of this latest episode regarding Musk and Twitter?
Carl, it is just the midweek drama we needed to have something perhaps a little bit more cheerful than the dreariness of the horrors of the war in Ukraine from Russia. But this is one volatile player. I don't know that we've ever seen an entrepreneur that's quite this flamboyant. Many creators are, and Freud had once said society is changed by its discontents. So these people who splash around a lot often accomplish a lot, but he's certainly beaten all of his cynics. Any of the short sellers who stayed with that short sell, I think regretted that position. But then again, you got to wonder, what is he up to? We've seen how the Thai cave submarine that was kind of a fiasco, and his pedo man insults, the $420 a share buyout, which of course we're well past that now, but he didn't have that financing lined up, as you've been joking around all morning. Those 1 million taxis, the fleet of 1 million autonomous self-driving taxis from 2 years ago, where are they? And we're the insurance company that he promised that we were going to have, so many, this chitty bang bang car that was supposed to fly and float and everything else that was supposed to happen a couple of years ago, and he promised to. Those things don't happen, so we don't know what's just for show, what's just for splash. You had a former SEC chair in just moments ago, and I think he was wisely asking, whatever happened with the breadth of management stretch that he has, that the Boring Company has certainly maybe lived up to its name, but I don't think we have had that tunnel between Las Vegas and Los Angeles that he promised years ago, and other massive projects. And, frankly, we can just see that Solar City hasn't exactly lived up to what its expectations were, and yet he's passed expectations on so many other fronts. So is this a time to sell Tesla?
I wonder, the use of best and final, do you think it's an intentional way to cloud this, or is he stepping on his own toes inadvertently?
It's never best and final. Of course, that's a jargon that perhaps some lawyer tossed his way as a standard negotiating language that's used in both, whether or not it's in M&A transactions or union management negotiations. So the best and final offer is never the best and final offer. I think he's likely to go a little bit higher, but the management, the board will certainly reject it. This is a fantastic board. And I'm really curious to know if the CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff's partner, Brett Taylor, who's chairman here, would want to stir things up a little bit and see if they could get some counter offers. But we don't know. You had some really, I think, provocative issues about the 5 different constituencies that you've talked about in the show earlier. I might extend it to 7 constituencies, adding in what the users are expecting out of all this. How would he change the product? And of course, other partners, how's he going to pay for that with this financial model to scrap advertising? So it's hard to know. And the skepticism over what he's really up to is Robert Frank, just so artfully took a look at how he could afford to pay for it, but selling 4% of his Tesla holdings that would crash that stock and violate all that he said. So there's a lot that's up in the air, but he likes to splash, and he's volatile. He can move on quickly. I myself have bought into this stock, and I'm nervous about it. I wouldn't hold it long.